What's going on YouTube? Modeling Nut back at you with the final reveal video for the Thumper monster truck build. So initially this was going to be kind of like a dual build with the Quadzilla body on the 78 big game pickup truck chassis. However, just because I'm wanting to try to get my Corsair finished up and work on some other projects, I'm going to go ahead and split these. Went ahead and got this one all completed, or completed to the point that I'm happy with it for now. Before I get it put up into the case and do the final reveal pictures, there's some details that I'm going to paint. Like for example, I'm going to go ahead and paint the release handle there black for the rear tailgate. I'm also going to go ahead and paint the filler cap for the fuel silver. Again, that's what the original would have been, or an aluminum color, I should say. And then a little bit of touch-up work with the reflector here. But outside of that, she is done, and I am extremely happy with the way this thing turned out. Didn't go into as much detail within the engine compartment as what I had initially planned. I'll go ahead and slide this forward, get that hood off, get you zoomed in, and show you how the engine compartment all turned out. So zooming into that engine bay, as you can see, got quite a bit of detail here. Went ahead and for the plug wires, that is just the standard copper line painted red. In fact, it looks like I'm going to need to do a tiny touch up there. It looks like the hood rubbed through. The blower belt, as mentioned before, is a piece of masking tape glued together and then painted Tamiya rubber black to give it that rubber belt look. Really looks good. Really fits the part. And it's not overly thick and nasty like what the normal belts would look like and stuff like that. Got the breather caps all on. You can see here on the headlights the black surrounds. That is done with just a Sharpie running around the outer edge to give it that rubber seal look. And in fact, I did a similar thing going around the corner marker light here, using the Sharpie, going around that marker light on the raised part. It's definitely, not the cleanest job in the world, but, it is what it is. Looking inside the cab, you can see seat belts on both sides. Kind of messed up the seat belts on the driver's side. Needed to make the buckle belt just a tiny bit shorter. But outside of that, I'm happy with it. I'm going to call it, as the guy who owns this is a little bit heavier like I am, and just wanted a bigger belt on the driver's side. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So, but the belts are from Gopher, and they're really nice because they do have the GM logo. Go ahead and tip it a little bit here. See if it'll catch it. It does kind of on the driver's side buckle there. It has the actual GM logos, which is really nice on the buckles themselves. So to detail those out, what I did was painted or put a tiny bit of styrene on the back side just to give it a little thickness, as the buckles would, and then used Tamiya X8 or XF8 flat blue to do the actual buckle release buttons, which really turned out nice. So hopefully you guys would agree. Really fits the part with the GM. Would it be technically correct for a GMC? Not 100% sure, but you know what? My truck, my build. I like it. So outside of that, we'll go ahead and pop the hood back on and just kind of zoom on around here. The flags, I did a standalone video on how to make custom flags at home. So these are just printed on a laser printer. To be honest, trying to find the artwork for the Monster Truck Challenge, that was very difficult, just because there's not many pictures that have a good just side shot of what that flag would be. However, there was a magazine series that had a cover and that was on it. So was able to do a little bit of Photoshop work to notch out a little bit of stuff that was covering up the E there on the challenge, and got that in place. And that to me is one of my favorite parts to this, is that that and the U.S. Hot Rod Association flag. Those two just look the part on this truck. The American flag's not too bad, but when you do crinkle them to give them the kind of in wave look, it can distort the coloring just a little bit. And so but overall, it really looks the part, really fits the build of that era of monster trucks, which I'm going for, like the early 1980s, which was before they really started racing these things. It was more of just show trucks, taking them out, doing a little bit of car crushing, stuff like that, but none of the high-speed racing of the late 80s, early 90s, when they were trying to use these old full-frame trucks to race. So, like I said, going to do a little bit more detail painting. Probably on the underside is more where that's going to come into play. I'm going to definitely paint chrome here on the rams, the front and rear rams. There's a little bit of touch up because I ran into the big issue that I ran into with final fitment here tonight was with the transmission, because of the fact of how the firewall is getting it to line up. I was coming out about a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch short on the length of the transmission, so I had to use a piece of plastic card to basically extend the length of the transmission. So that took quite a bit of time. In fact, that probably took an hour just to get the main body mounted on, because at the same time I had to mount the body, I had to mount the transmission. So that is something, if you're doing any sort of builds like these, you just expect to run into stuff like that, and at the worst possible time, when you feel like you're just about done or something like that, it's gonna happen. And so outside of that, like I said, happy with the build. There's a few little things about the kit that I'm not that big of a fan of. One is the fact that the underside of the actual interior really does not fit and look correct for the underside of the chassis of a truck. The floor the floor pan is just completely off. But again, unless you're looking on the underside, or if you have this thing sitting on a mirror, you're not going to see it. And then the other thing is, as you can kind of see light in the corner of the bed. That's because the sides do not match with the tailgate correctly, and it leaves a nice big open gap there in the corners, which would not be correct. You could technically box in the rear taillights, but doing that would take quite a bit of fabrication work to box it in and make it look correct. Outside, and those are, like I said, attributes of the actual kit themselves that I just kind of left in place because it is what it is. I mean, we try to build as accurate of kits to what our desires are, but sometimes you just get these. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this build series. I've really enjoyed this build itself. Looking forward to getting the final touch-up paint work done, and then getting it out into some natural daylight, probably with a few different flag sets, getting some pictures that I will be going ahead and posting up to my Facebook page, which you can get to via the link on my channel. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. I know it's been a fun build for me. Looking forward to the next one, getting moved on to the other projects I have on the go, and then looking forward to some other projects, because my room is filled with them. So hope you guys have enjoyed. Like, share, subscribe. If you know of anybody who would like this content, definitely send them a link. Definitely would appreciate that, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.